Hello, I am Mary Lumpkin. Once a girl chained in the shadow of my master, I lived in a place called the Devil's Half-Acre. My prison, my bed, was my home. I was born in Virginia around 1832. Too young to understand what slave meant until the first time I saw a woman whipped so hard that her back opened like pages in a holy book. When I turned 13, Robert Lumpkin took notice of me. He was a slave trader, a jailer, the kind of white man who made his fortune by breaking others. He owned a complex where the enslaved were stored, sold, and beaten, and as for me, I was a child. He said I was his girl, bound to serve as a wife. He violated me before I bled as a woman, and when I carried his child, he called the child a possession too. By 14, I had a daughter, by 15 another, both born between blood and screams. The jail never slept. The enslaved were whipped raw and stripped and sold. Children were torn away, their names erased before they could speak. He smiled through it all, not a jailer, but the devil in flesh. They say the Devil's Half-Acre was cursed. The ground there was dark and wet, and after every rain, blood bubbled up from beneath the surface of every tortured slave, as if the earth itself was trying to speak their names. The whipping room was small, windowless, where the enslaved were chained and beaten to death. Even in the darkness, I made him promise my children would stay free. He listened and never sold them. When he died in 1866, the same law that once branded me as property called me heir. He left me everything, the jail, the house, the yard of screams. The Devil's Half-Acre was mine now. Do I burn it or curse the ground? But God whispered differently. He said, "Turn that hell into a classroom." So I did. In 1867, Nathaniel Culver came looking for a place to teach free men. I handed him the keys to the jail. I said, "Let this be God's half-acre." And the jail became classrooms. From the ashes of pain came purpose, the Culver Institute, becoming Virginia Union University. Now that's a miracle. The earth that once buried enslaved bodies now births knowledge. I lived long enough to see that transformation, to see young Negro men walk through gates that once held chains, carrying books instead of shackles. Again, I am Mary Lumpkin. I went from slave chains to change.